There we go. I had my mic muted, but now I don't. Hi! Surprise! It's me, I think. You should be able to hear me. Sorry, hello, nice to see you. Remember me? Yeah, it's been a while since we did this, but we're doing it now, so I guess that's the important thing. We're gonna just chill for a little bit because, you know, people aren't used to me streaming on a regular basis, at least not streaming this on a regular basis anymore, so who knows if anyone's even gonna show up. Say hi to the Oracle. This is the kind of day I'm having so far. Hey. And I plan to do 2 streams today. I plan to do this, and then this afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern is the monthly Warframe dev stream, and this should be a fairly significant one, so I plan to do a watch-along stream for that. I don't know why do I make these choices? I don't know. Seems like a bad idea, really, but here we are. So, but today, yes, we are building puppets again. Still, I never actually stopped, but I did stop doing the regularly scheduled build streams, but there will still be some, as you can see. We're still doing the thing, so yeah. I hope everyone out there is having a decent day. If you're watching on the VOD, I hope you're having a decent day whenever you are. Which is an odd way of phrasing that, but here we are. Making sure, it's been a while since I fired any of this up. I'm just making sure everything's working. I did, you know, the usual checks beforehand. It seems like everything is okay. I can see that the music is being, let me know, Summary, if the music levels are too high or whatever. The meters look okay to me, but I'm not wearing headphones, obviously, so I don't know what you're hearing, so. You know, things and stuff. Boy, it's been a while. It's been a time. Things are happening and things aren't happening, which is both good and bad. But you know, since we're doing a Warframe themed puppet build stream, we got the Warframe soundtrack in the background. Hopefully this won't get me. Music isn't too loud to me. Okay, good to know. Hamish, I did it again. Good heavens, I'm terribly sorry. I know now that it's Hamish, not Hamish. Even though you said that's okay, it's still like, people should be called what they want to be called, so Hamish. Nice to see you. This is my excuse right here. I require this. So, you know. Kevin's having a day, but I plan to do this. I'm sure you do get it all the time. Well, also because like you had to pick the username that's a character in Discworld that is almost definitely we met Hamish, right? So it is partly your fault. Let's blame the victim. That's a good plan. Yeah, Warframe, huh? The channel is slowly evolving to be just Warframe all the time. Kind of the reason I wanted to do this today was like, you know what? I really should just get some more puppet stuff on the channel because all I've been doing is streaming Warframe lately. So if you don't know, the reason that the regular puppet build stream, so I haven't stopped building puppets. It's still going. Everything's still the same there. The reason I stopped doing the regular build streams is because, as I have talked about before, both here and on the podcast, business is rough right now, as is to be expected with the state of things. And so I have actually started job hunting for at least a part-time position to kind of make up some of the income I am no longer getting from the business. And as a result, just the regular build streams, it's not even that I'm too busy. We met Arthur. Oh wait, I don't think any of Tiffany's Fiegels have we met. Oh, you're right. I did a thing. I conflated 2 characters who are similar. Let's be real, but you know, you're right. You're absolutely right. Good point. Thank you. I've been corrected on Discworld lore. Good heavens, what is happening? Clearly, I've been out of the game too long. So yeah, I am in the middle of job hunting, and it's not that that's taking up too much time, because there's only so much time that can take. But it's just that, like, I am still building puppets for the shop and whatever commissions I happen to get, but live streaming puppet building stuff does slow down the level of productivity, shall we say, that I can have, just because it's understandable. I'm focusing on running the live stream, and I'm not able to work with the same efficiency that I would normally work, and I kind of need every bit of efficiency that I can get right now. So that's why the puppet build streams have been on pause. It's entirely possible they will be back, and as you can see, whenever I can do one, or whenever I have the time to do one, I would like to do one. So that's what we're doing today, because this week, in fact, this whole week, I've had a rare window of time that I could spend on current build that I've been working on, because I am definitely going to TennoCon. It's just over a month away. And this is the puppet that I am bringing. I'm doing a special build for TennoCon, and this is the build. And it has come along significantly since the last time. We did one of these streams before. Last month, I guess, actually, now that I think about it, because it was exactly a month. I did the dev stream watch along as well, which we are, and hopefully, doing today as well. So, Ortis is what we're talking about today. He's getting around to the point eventually. Look. Yeah, so we're talking about Ortis. I've had some time to devote to Ortis this week, which is great, and it actually has progressed quite a lot. So I gotta think about the next steps. I don't actually have a plan for this stream. You may be able to tell. But we're just gonna sort of sit and yap and figure out what my next steps are gonna be for the Ortis build, and show off what I've done so far, because I'm pretty happy with where we are. So anyway, chugging down the Red Bull. The chats all seem to be working and behaving properly. I never had a problem with all the unified chat thing in here in the studio. It's only in the office, and I don't know why. I even used the exact same version of the app image for Ninja streaming social Ninja thing that is the application that does the blended chat. No idea. Looking forward to seeing the flappy head as to flap off of. Yeah, so that's next. I'm actually going to talk about that, because I've had some thoughts. I'm leaning. Let me just get right into it. Why don't we just get right into it, because what else will we hear? I have no idea how long this is going to be as well. Might be short, might be long. It all depends on where the yapping leads currently, so we'll find out. So maybe I should stick on this camera, because let's review. First of all, let me get the picture up here, my Stream Deck. Stream Deck, not Steam Deck, Stream Deck. Drew, I can see Drew. Hello, Drew. Drew just authenticated in chat. Thank you. Hello. Welcome. Nice to see you. Boom. There we go. So here is Ortis. Here is a picture of Ortis from the game. And I at first was going to basically just do this, but like a puppet version of this. But the more I thought about it, first of all, this is way more complex looking than you would first think, just from seeing him. When you actually start to break down, there's all kinds of little detail and stuff like that. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. So I decided the way I wanted to do this was to really lean into the Muppet thing. So this is the Muppetized version of Ortis. So we're not doing a replica of this character. We're doing like Drew, hello, thank you, welcome. We're doing the if this character passed through a weird interdimensional portal and emerged into the Muppet universe, right? So that's kind of where we're going. So this is the review. This is where we're coming from. Now let's see now kind of where I've gone with this, because So here's where we currently are, and I really should have a better camera for this. This is not color ballast, white ballast, or in focus or anything. Let's go to the overhead camera. Maybe, oops, that's the wrong camera. You can tell I'm a bit rusty. It's been a while. There we go. This is much better. Okay. So, here's where we are. So this is the concept. Now, the normal Ortus, you can get the picture up again. Thank you. It is, so far it's being okay. So if we see how the in-game Ortus is constructed there, the bit from the thick gold band at the base of the head up, that's his head, and that kind of levitates off of the body. So my concept, because I'm not doing that, is to actually have that be the Muppet mouth, right? We're actually going to put a tongue in here and everything. So I was a little bit concerned about how the gold band would look, but it ends up looking almost like buck teeth. So I'm like, I'm okay with that, you know? Here's the neat part about this. So this is basically a 3D printed shell. The last time we did one of these for the Ortus build, I experimented with actually covering it with the fabric. Clearly, that's worked out. And including the gold ring too. And this is the part that I did yesterday. And I'm particularly happy. I was concerned with how this was going to look, and I think it looks really good. So, the next step, or a wraparound mustache. Yeah, exactly. It fits. It works. It's you know, it's a different thing than the in-game Ortus, but that's okay. It's also like it's also very comfortable to perform. It's a little bit on the heavy side. I have to add the facial composition. I've done one of these, you know. Yeah, maybe. Speaking of hair, that's the other thing. So if you look at so you see Ortus has that little bar on the top of his head there. Can I get my hand in the screen here? Yeah, a little bar right there. I figure what I'm gonna do for that is I'm actually gonna do like a sprig of Bert style hair, just like a little bit of fur, maybe even a couple of feathers that will kind of float around, just to drive home the Muppetness of it, right? So from here, it's not all that complicated. Let me get the picture up again. So the bit underneath the head now. So I've basically got the upper part and then the lower mouth plate, which is where that thin gold band below the thick gold band is. Now the what I'm calling the shroud, the kind of fabric-looking wraparound, upside-down triangle-looking things, those are actually basically fabric. In game, they kind of flow like fabric. So what I'm thinking of is I may actually do those in fur. Because that would be, again, driving home the Muppetness of that. And it would also, therefore, preclude me having to do any kind of detailing on them, which is, you know, secret agenda reveal. But basically, I'm going to put, actually, I don't know if I have the thing here. I gotta do, so among the things I have to 3D model next is the gold rim on the lower mouth plate. And I had a kind of prototypey thing somewhere. I don't know what I did with it. It's gone. It's gone forever. Everything's broken. Yeah. Oh wait. Oh no, that's not it. Yes, here it is. Okay. So I gotta cover this with fabric again. It's gonna be hard to see because it's black on black. But basically, this is gonna go under there, and this will be the thin gold rim around the lower mouth plate. And so underneath this is basically like a cylinder or a couple of cylinders, a couple of stylized cylinders, and then a little control box, and then the sort of a U-shaped thing on the bottom. And they just kind of hang down and float underneath the lower jaw. So that shouldn't be too complicated. I'm not terribly worried about that. The thing that I want to focus on next is So I originally planned on doing his head in all white, and then sort of detailing as I go. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized most of his head is actually that kind of yellowed plastic looking, and the white bit is actually just the bit in the middle in the top of his head. See, there you go. That's good information, Drew. Thank you. Yeah, I was wondering about that. My auto ducking may not be working properly, so let me just turn the music right down. There we go. Should be a little bit better. Let me know how that sounds. Let's look like my mic is high enough, actually. Let's try that. All right. How's that sound? Am I better now? The meters look much better to me. Thank you. I do need to know that information. Lower music is better. All right. Awesome. Much appreciated. So, what was I talking about? Thank you, Drew. Yeah, all good. I need to know this information, particularly for, you know, the people who are just watching and not speaking. Because this is a VOD and everything, and, you know, this is all for posterity because I am taking this to TEDxCon, so hopefully we'll have some kind of record of this. So what I want to do for the top bit, so I'm going to leave, as you can see, I have actually dyed this. This is a very slight tinted kind of beigey color. And I want to just do like an applique over the top of the white, kind of in the middle here and then on the top of the head. Now, in the actual model from the game, it's really kind of white underneath and then the two big yellow strips like that, but I'm going to kind of go do the opposite, and I'm going to leave the whole thing yellow and then put the white strip in the middle. It will kind of accomplish the same thing. So it's kind of I kind of just have to make a template for this. The thing I'm not sure about is when I go to put, here's a little bit of white fabric. When I go to put this on and I get a template for it and I cut it out and I put it on, so that's going to look pretty good. Like the color is pretty good there. I want to do this obviously before I put the eyes on, because the eye kind of socket here is what defines, right, where the gold and the yellow kind of runs. So that's one thing I want to do today, is make a template or make a pattern for this white insert. So that's one thing. There's also this little beak kind of thing you can see right between under the eyes where like the nose would be. It kind of looks like his mouth in the game. In our case, it's going to be clearly a nose. But that's very well defined, and it's right here, you can see it. So I also have to think about how I want to do that. I'm not sure about that yet. That requires a little bit more thought. But even before that, so there's one thing. I want to make the pattern for the white applique. The other thing is in the eye sockets, you can see that they're kind of set down in the head, and there's like an under structure that is a dark color. Now in the actual model here, you can see that's just kind of like these little indentations. You can just kind of barely see them. I do want to color those separately, but I don't want to do an applique like I would be doing with the white thing. I don't want to put something on the outside. I do want to actually just color the fabric underneath here. Now the eyes that are going to go on here are 3D printed. You can see them right here. And those are going to get just glued in like that. So underneath here, I just want to make this like a dark color, but I want it sort of very sharply defined and very clear. And then I'll put a little like yellowish, pointy, beaky thing right there. But the next thing I have to decide is how am I going to do that? So the most likely candidate is to literally just take a marker and color this in. The problem or the thing about that is like you've got one shot at that and you cannot make a mistake. Make a mistake, you literally have to trash this pretty much, well, at least the skin of this and start again, in which case I have to take the whole thing apart again. I'd rather not do that. But because these eyes are just going to get kind of glued on the outside here like this, we've got a little bit of room in the eye socket to just kind of mess around. And if it goes badly, it's okay because it's going to get covered up by the eye anyway. So I'm thinking I might just start, like just take a marker and just start in the eye socket and see how it goes. If we're able to get a clearly defined edge, then maybe we'll keep going and go down into the little grooves here. If not, plan B, I guess, which I'm not sure what that would be yet, but we'll find out. The other tricky bit is, supposing that works okay and the marker looks good, and I'm able to get a defined enough edge, considering this is fuzzy fabric, right? So it's going to be a bit fuzzy and I want it to be relatively clearly delineated. When I get down to coloring this in right here, I gotta be real careful because I don't want to get any of the dark color on the gold rim here. But I, of course, yesterday spent like an hour and a half. This is literally stitched on all the way around, like by hand. It took a while to get this on. It does mean I can take it off, but I'd rather not. Now, the good news is there is a little bit, because I didn't stitch it all the way. I stitched it up to about like here or so, and then this is just kind of loose. But because this is all rigid and 3D printed, it's, you know, I can just kind of make a little separation in there, and I might be able to slip a little painter's tape in there to protect the yellow part. So if I do slip with the marker, it won't actually stain the yellow part. That's tricky. Something I would probably rather not do on stream, just in case it goes wrong. Who knows? In which case, I would at least have to do another one of these. But we'll see. We'll kind of go from there. I think we're going to start with the coloring in with the marker in the eye socket and just kind of see how that goes and take it from there. The other part is, as you may guess, if you haven't seen Ortus in game, those eyes swivel. And yes, I could do that. But there's a relatively limited amount of space inside the head here. And so to do an eye rig like that, where these eyes would, you know, turn like that, it's possible. I have an idea for a simple rig that I would like to do and would probably be able to do. It is a matter then of like time and testing and seeing if it would work and what adjustments it would need and all that kind of thing. That's all prototyping. And that's not stuff I don't know if I have time for that yet. We are just over a month away from TennoCon, so my plan is to finish this one somehow with no eye rig, to just glue the eyes on. And that will be something I can take to TennoCon at the very least. If I then have the time to go on and make a second version that has an eye rig, fantastic, even better. But I want to have something that I know I can take to TennoCon no matter what. And of course, the other thing is these need some eyelids. Guessing some of the liquid mask and a brush on masking tape wouldn't be an option with the fabric. Unfortunately, no. I mean, there's probably some latexes or something, but this is, let me go to the close-up cam here. So this is fleece, and it's very, very fuzzy and textured, as you can see. So any kind of liquid that I put on this would just get right down into the fibers and just kind of make a mess. And even if it is like a latex or something that you can peel off, it would still leave little pieces behind and stuff like that within the fabric. It's a very loosely woven, stretchy fabric, right? So probably not a good candidate. I think the better solution would to just be kind of gently lift this apart and try and shove some painter's tape in there and lay it down, and just to protect that for the moment while I trying to use the marker. But so that's where I'm at. That's where we're at with the Ortus build. So speaking of painter's tape, that's where I would start with making the pattern for the white overlay here. And I also need to make some eyelids for these eyes as well, because these need some eyelids. And that's relatively easy. That will involve me getting the barge out, and so that means the mask and the whole ventilation stuff. Probably not going to happen on this stream. We'll see. We will see. But to start with, let's look at making a little pattern for the white overlay here. Overlay is a good word. Applique sounds fancy. It just means something you're putting on something else. You're applying it. Applique, right? Yes, more Red Bull. That's a good idea. So let me grab some painter's tape here. I may actually open the window regardless. It's getting a little warm in here. It feels like summer has finally decided to happen. I should have a... Well, there's a pencil. I'm not sure the pencil will be the best. Here we go. Let's see the thin marker. Okay. Very, very gently. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this is tape patterning is a very common process in all kinds of flat patterning, not just pop-up building, but anytime you're making a flat pattern, this is a real good way of doing it. You just start laying on some painter's tape, which of course the whole point of painter's tape is it comes off cleanly and it holds well enough to do what it should do, right? So we're just going to lay a whole bunch of it in big layers over the area where we're going to make our pattern. This is a pretty common practice when you're trying to make a pattern for something from something. Another super quick way of doing this is to literally just put a piece of paper towel over it and then draw your pattern. Like if you're doing a beard or something like that for a puppet, and you just need to get it done real quick. That's a good way of doing it. This is basically like a slightly more controlled version of that. So I'm just putting it over the area that we're actually going to be covering with white. Now I may take this once we're done and scan it and make a vector file out of it and clean it up and true it up and make a nice geometrically even thing out of it. But this is just like a starting point. The scanner's in the other room, and I don't have the apps on this PC or anything. Like I could just grab it in Inkscape or something, but good old open source. And the other thing is we really only need to do half, right? Because we're going to mirror it, and that's what will create it being nice and even. But we are going to trace both sides, and then we'll kind of split the difference, and that'll true it up. You'll see. You'll see when we get there. I'm just making sure it kind of gets down right in there, and I can feel the topography of the shell underneath. Alright, so from here, it's a little bit mushy and undefined, and that's a challenge. Let's see. So the eye socket is kind of, can you see that? Kind of, more or less. Eye socket is kind of here. So we'll just define what edges we have. And then a little triangle bit go down like that. And then I have it, oh, I gotta cover up a little bit of the back here. All right. So and it's kind of like the top of his head has basically got like a bald spot. So we're gonna go like this, I think. You see where I'm going there? Yeah, you can see that pretty good actually. Nice. So this is going to be perfectly even, as you can tell. But like I said, what I'm going to do once we get this roughed out like this is I'm going to take this, make a real flat pattern out of it, and then true it up. There's a couple ways you can true it up, and you don't always have to scan it in and use a vector program to make it geometrically even. There's organic ways you can do that. But let's see, how does that look? That's not bad. We can live with that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And across the back here, I'm just going to sort of delineate where the entrance hole is. Okay. So now that we've got this, what you would normally do if you were doing like clay maquetting or something to come up with a flat pattern for a puppet is you then take an X-Acto knife and start cutting this out. I don't want to do that against, obviously, this sort of more or less finished fabric. So we're going to just try carefully peeling this off. Maybe I should try an X-Acto knife. No, I am going to peel it off. I'm just going to try and keep it in one piece. That is kind of the point. But I trust you get the idea of what we're doing here. Gotta be careful because this is all this fabric is laid on with some spray adhesive, and I don't really want to lift it off of the shell, which seems to be a possibility with this, which I should have foreseen. But you know, hey, this is the first time I'm doing something like this, so it's not going to be perfect. Like I always say, perfect is the enemy of good. And those of us who aren't perfect have to tell ourselves that constantly. Okay, here we go. This is coming. That's what I didn't want to happen, but it still happened. All right, we've recovered. We're okay. Slowly peeling this back. It really wants to separate right there. I should have done more layers. Oh well, too late now. Press on. You see why I don't normally like doing this kind of thing on stream. Just in case things go wrong. All right, there we go. Did Ortis survive? Yes, Ortis survived. Okay. So now we've got this thing. And what we're gonna do, oh, I should have grabbed some extra card stock. I don't think I have any extra card stock here. Oh, maybe I do. I do. Good news. So this is just a piece of regular lightweight cardstock. We're going to take this and lay it flat onto the cardstock. Now, normally in a standard puppet build, this is where we'd be putting in darts and things because the fabric has to go across a curved surface. In this case, I'm not going to worry about that because it is fleece going onto a rigid surface. The fleece will stretch. I'll be able to kind of manipulate it as it goes. We just want to get this shape more or less correct. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do now is we're going to delineate a center line. And that we're just going to eyeball. And I'm going to use, the sort of the tip of the nose here as our mythical center line. This is a good song. Okay. So, now that we've got a center line laid out, I'm going to fold this. I'm going to use the ruler here as a little helper. Fold this along that line. And likewise the other way. Get it so it behaves itself. This is how we do a mirrored pattern without having to scan it and true it up in a software application. If you don't have that, or you just don't want to, or you get it as quickly, this is how you make an even trued pattern. We just fold it across that center line, and now we're going to cut it out with some junk scissors. We're just going to follow those lines that we drew. And all right. So now when we unfold that, that should be a perfectly even mirrored pattern. Hello, Alex. Nice to see you. So that's going to get laid on like so in the white, and that actually looks pretty good. That might actually do that trick. Now, one thing I do notice is I didn't go far enough in the back. It's a little bit cut off here. That's okay. That's easy to compensate for. But this is actually pretty good. That's laying in there nicely. I know that shape. You know what? See, somebody had to point it out because I wouldn't have. I'm innocent and naive. It's a uterus. Or, I don't know. Yeah, this is pretty good actually. So I think what I'm going to want to do when I actually cut it out, I'm going to want to add a seam allowance on the inside of the eye socket here, because it's okay if that goes into the eye socket because we are, you know, gluing an external eye on the outside anyway, so that will delineate that. But the nose is pretty good. This bit here is pretty much exactly the way I want it to. So we're just going to leave that, and the rest, everything from like the bridge of the nose up, needs a little bit of a seam allowance around it. But yeah, okay. All right. We got something we can work with. I gotta be farming, but on Warframe with you on the other screen. Nice. Love it. Oh, okay. Well, it's really hot in here. I'm going to open the window and maybe get the fan blowing in. Because it's hot in this room. Since the last time I streamed, the seasons changed. Of course, these days, that could mean anything. That could just be, 24 hours. Okay. Hopefully, the daycare downstairs won't be too noisy. I am going to put the fan on as well. Oh, that has really messed up the lighting. Wow. How's this? Hang on. There we go. That's much better. Woo! That was going to go real bad there for a second. But it's okay. We recovered. Yeah. Okay. So, I guess now what we'll do, just as an experiment, I still haven't decided how I actually want to attach this. I might just end up stitching it. I don't know. I'd rather not, to be honest, but if I have to, I will. I'm just going to take a chunk of this white, and we're just going to cut this out in the real stuff, in the real fabric, and actually see how it lies. Laugh out loud, puppets. Hello, nice to see you. Welcome back. We are back here doing the Ortus thing. Which, as you can see, has progressed somewhat. All right, so I've got a piece of white fleece here. Now the question is, which way do I want the stretch to go? I think I want the stretch to go back to front, not side to side. So I want it that way. Okay. So, I'm going to grab a light colored marker for this. Now, the thing about cutting out fleece, of course, is this stuff is stretchy, right? It has, well, yeah, it's come on quite a ways. This isn't even the same one. This is like the second version of that, but it's got a whole working mouth and everything now. So we're getting there. I got just over a month to finish this, so it better be coming along. To have it so that the edges here are nice and clean and finished, it would be better if I were to do this actually putting some glue down first and letting it dry and then trimming it, because we'd get a sharper edge. This is going to be all fuzzy, but that's okay. We'll let it be fuzzy for the moment. I am giving quite a generous seam allowance here. But you could always take material away. You can very rarely add material, so it's better to cut out more than you need than not enough. Okay. I know that's real tough to see. You can kind of see that, but that's the point, is we wanted to use a light marker so it wouldn't show up. Now, let's try very carefully. Of course, the other thing is I can do this in a fabric that isn't fleece, but then it wouldn't look right. It wouldn't have that Muppety look. So let me just cut this out. I can't keep this on camera and cut it out competently, so I won't even try. Do. And I am a bit concerned, or at least not concerned, but I'm unsure at the moment how I want to actually like finish these edges. I want this to be fairly well defined. I want this to be kind of a sharp, clean line, which is tricky to achieve in something like fleece, which is soft and frays and stretches and does everything it can to prevent you from having a nice, sharp, clean line. Anton, so the regularly scheduled build streams are kind of on hold for a while I'm job hunting. They may pick up again, I'm not sure. So I'm doing them whenever now, so there is no regularly scheduled stream. I'm afraid you're just going to have to sort of stay tuned, and they're going to happen when they happen. Apologies for that, but I just don't have the time right now to do regularly scheduled build streams. Okay, let's see here. This is not bad, actually. That's okay. Hey, Drew and Alex, you guys gonna, well, you're doing Subnautica 2 right now, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah, this is pretty good. This might actually work. I may just be able to glue this, which is how I'd prefer to do it, to be honest. I need more room in the back. I did not make that far enough. So this is just a little test to see how it's going to go, and I think it's actually going to be okay. Particularly once this gets on there. And, you know, because the eyes are going to give it clean definition. I completely understand that. What's the fear of underwater, like big things underwater? There's a specific phobia for that, if I remember correctly. I don't remember what it's called. Safety blanket. It's good to have. Yeah, this is actually pretty good. All right. It's really just these lines in here that I'm concerned about, and those are actually going to get covered up with the little gold V there anyway. So I think we're actually kind of in good shape. All right, this is encouraging. I don't have to worry about the eye socket shapes because we are applying external eyes. Thalassophobia, that's it. Yes, I knew it. I have vague knowledge of many things. Okay, this is good. This is good. This is going places. I do need, this is obviously not the one I'm going to use, but this is a good test run. And honestly, I don't know, maybe stitching would be the way to go. I don't know. You know what? I should just start and see how it goes. The problem with stitching is it also looks like stitching, but that might not be a bad thing for the character concept, because the concept is like, this is Ordis, but a Muppet. So actually seeing stitching would be kind of charming and cute, right? Okay, well that's that. I'm gonna let that, you know, ferment in the brain box for a while. I need superpower. Super-ish. So I think next what I'm going to do, I'm going to be bold and take a marker and start seeing if we can just draw in those dark indentations that we have like in the eye socket and that little groove around the bottom of the head there. So this is where we get bold and possibly stupid. Probably stupid. Let me see what markers I have here. Let's try this one. I don't want to go right for black, but that may be an option. I'm not even sure how viable the ink is in this stuff. Let's see. I may have to go for just like a Sharpie. So with these, it looks like I'll be able to define the edges okay. And then maybe I can use the Sharpie to like fill it in. This is all unknown to me. This is all me just playing around and seeing what happens. This is just scrap here, so this doesn't matter. Yeah, because the problem, let's see if we can go to the close-up game here. Right, the problem is this is fabric, and so the edges that we get are very fuzzy, right? So what we want is to be able to color in, you know, like an area, but also have defined edges. Uncharted waters, exactly. Let's actually grab a thin black one. Oops. Behave yourself. But with the thin marker, we might be able to like more clearly define what the edges are. I'm not sure this is gonna work actually. This doesn't look good. This is why we practice on a piece of scrap, you see. I didn't really want to add anything in there. I wanted it to be indented. And what I might have to do is actually trim some of this fabric here away. Now the other part of this isn't a great test because this fabric isn't going to be as stretchy as this. This is already glued down to a hard surface. Well, you know what? F it, we ball. we are just gonna go. And like I said, if I color inside the eye socket to start, you're never gonna see that because it's going to get covered up with the actual external eye. So let's just, this will be our little secret. Everybody who sees me at TennoCon, this is what's actually under here. It's terrible and embarrassing. Let's see. Oh, you know what? That's not bad. That is not too bad. Can I make a nice solid color area though? He's making noises. I don't know if they're good noises or bad noises. They're just noises at this point. Gosh, I'm almost wondering if I should get some ink and a brush to really get down there into the fibers. The problem with Sharpies are they dry out really, really easily. And this is going to require a portion of ink. You know, like I said, it's a good thing that this is what's going over there, because you don't need to see this. It's not bad. I just don't know if I'd want this edge to be seen like this. There's a kid outside having a meltdown in the daycare downstairs. I hope you can't hear that. I don't know. I think I would just need to go over this and over this and over this until I get the ink right down into the fabric. I know it actually looks okay in the camera, but to see this IRL, it's a bit, maybe the close-up cam can do a better job of showing. It's a bit uneven, right? I was guessing incorrectly, yes. So if I got like an actual brush and ink, and I could get right down into the fibers, as it were, because as I move this, as I pull it apart, you can see the lighter color underneath there, right? And that's the problem. And that's what I'm trying to cover up. So it's not really that the edge isn't defined enough. I mean, it isn't. I would like it better defined than this, but it is what it is. Is that the whole area isn't a solid color. Although it is getting better the more I work with it, so I don't know. This is me thinking out loud. This is what I normally do off camera. Okay, so if I trace it in one direction and then I go over it and over it and over it, and then I go in the other direction and go over it and over it and over it, that seems to kind of get us there. This is probably going to require an entire box of Sharpies. It's the scary part with the ink part is it might spread to it. Oh, exactly. I am clumsy. And I would not trust myself to actually do this with a brush and ink. Maybe something like a fountain pen, right? That I would have a little bit more control over. But this is scary enough as it is, just waving around a Sharpie near this thing, right? So I would never actually try that. I'm just sort of spitballing. You know, and the other thing we got to consider is like maybe having a slightly softer edge isn't a bad thing for the character concept, right? It's not bad. I'm just not sure it's good enough. This requires more Red Bull. Well, I don't want to go ahead and do that right down into the V. Now, of course, the good part is it would only be one line. It would only be the line on this side that you would actually see, because this bit in here, this little triangle bit in the middle, that's going to get covered up with another external applique bit of yellow fabric, and that I'll probably do in felt or something that has a nice sharp edge, right? Now, the real thing here is I do not have any confidence that I could get down there right to the very end without getting ink on the yellow bit. So my choices are try and put some painter's tape in there which would be a struggle, probably not go well, and even then it wouldn't get far enough. I need to actually color it down right the way through and then actually like wrap it around and underneath. That's how to do this. What it is I should have done this before I put the mouse plate, before I glued the mouse plate together. That's what it comes down to. So now what, smart guy? Okay, plan B, plan C at this point. If we're gonna put an applique for the white part, that means we are building up another layer here. That seems like a struggle. Yeah, no, it absolutely would be. It would not be worth it, and if it goes wrong, it's gonna blow the whole thing, and we don't want that. This line I'm not too worried about. This I can probably just do with stitching, so that'll be okay. It's this in here that I want to make sure we get nicely defined. What it comes down to is I put the yellow ring on too soon. So, thankfully it's not glued, it's actually just stitched. So I can pop all those stitches and do the things and then restitch it. I literally spent almost 2 hours yesterday stitching this on. I really don't want to do it, but I think that might be the only way forward for this. These are the compromises that we must make in the pursuit of art. I'm reading a bit about textile tattooing right now. Apparently that's a thing. Okay. News to me. This does sound exactly like what I'd want, though, doesn't it? You know what? Now that I look at this, having this overlapping in here actually adds some nice definition in there. Let's look at the actual character. It does kind of, I mean, because of the black, it does kind of look like it overlaps a little bit, even though it doesn't really. Oh, great. Of course, somebody chatting on Twitch and they're a bot. What a surprise. Good thing Amazon owns them and can spend all that money to do nothing. Hang on. I should be able to get rid of our new bot friend. Boom, there we go. Maybe I can do this all external. That might be the way. You know what? This is the way. From that popular movie everybody's going to see, apparently. Like all 6 people. Oh, poor Star Wars. How you've suffered so. You know, the more I think about this, the more I like the idea of just building it up in layers with external fabric. Summertime, the children sparrow from school. It's true. But if I do an applique in there, even in like felt or even craft foam or something, that will give us a nice clean edge. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. And that needs to be done before the white part goes on, because the white part has to be the last bit. But that would avoid us having to take the yellow thing off. Which is kind of where this is where I'm going with this. I think that is the way. I would want to do some more quite serious patterning. Now, thankfully, I can actually use this as a pattern guide for that, which is quite helpful. Yeah, so that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to make another insert that's going to go in there and define the eye sockets and then the little dark V in here. So that goes on, and then the white goes on, and then the yellow V goes on over top of that. That makes sense. That's how to build this up in layers to be basically that, right? Yeah. That's more than I want. That I think I have the spoons to do on stream. To be honest, this was a good start, but it answered some questions, which is kind of all I really wanted to do at the moment, because it's the end of the week. I'm tired. I'm underslept. I'm drinking Red Bull just to get through a stream. So, I think any more cognitive load would be too much for me at this point. So, I think we're going to leave it there. I'm going to let this stew a little bit in the brain juice, and this is actually looking pretty good, though. I think we're getting to a good place with it. I am confident that there will be a Muppet Ortis at TennoCon. So you know what? I think we're just over an hour. I think I'm going to call it there. I will be back at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is, I can't remember what that is, UTC. I think it's 6 p.m. UTC. It's 4 hours, if I remember correctly. So there we are. I will be back in this very spot for the Warframe dev stream that's coming up today, which should be an exciting one. It's the last one before TennoCon, so it's they're gonna show some stuff, and I'm gonna do a YouTube thing and react to it. So hopefully those of you who are interested in Warframe will come and hang out, and we'll have a good time, and I'll try to avoid cracking a cocktail, which I'm sure I'll be ready for by then, but that's a little bit early even for me. So there we are. We did the thing again. There will be more. I promise there will be more Puppet Build streams, just not regularly, at least for the time being, until things kind of even out and settle down for me, which will happen. But thank you, everybody, for joining me as usual. Lovely to see all of you. And my pleasure. Yeah, so anyway, back here, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So, I don't know, a few hours from now, to do the Warframe dev stream watch along, which is becoming a regular thing. I think I'm just going to do that every month, at least if I have the spoons. So, thank you, Hamish, and thank you, Drew and Alex and everybody else I'm forgetting who showed up. Very nice to see all of you. I appreciate each and every one of you spending time with me and hanging out and doing weird things with puppets. So there we go. We're going to call it here, and we will be back later today.